This is my daily driver. It's a 2000 Jeep Wrangler 6-wheel drive that I converted about 2 years ago. And while I don't have footage of it, I'm going to go over generally the build process and some pictures. So I bought that Jeep in 2013. I had worked for a few summers and saved up enough money to buy one, and throughout high school I took it a lot of places I probably shouldn't have, and it made the trip over to Moab a few times.
Alright, go for gold, dude. I'm gonna miss you.
So I'm just gonna shoot this up. That was pretty extreme right there.
No way, dude. That is terrifying.
During that time, my dad and I built a bumper for it, and about 2.5 years ago, I locked myself in the shop in Colorado for about 7.5 weeks to work on modified into 6-wheel drive. I really wanted a Brute TJ conversion kit for a very long time. They ended up taking them out of production, so I was going to just build a standard Brute conversion kit to start out with, but I decided on the 6-wheel drive because I wanted something a little bit extra. So I took a extra Jeep frame for a TJ and cut the back end off of it. I also lengthened the frame between the wheels of my TJ frame by about 18 inches. I decided on that by building the back set of 4 first and placing it next to the Jeep, rolling it back and forth until I got a length that I was happy with. So to get the drivetrain how I wanted it, I took a 205 transfer case, an NP 205 from a 1968 Dodge 4-wheel drive truck, and mounted it slightly behind the factory drivetrain with the factory NP 231 transfer case that came factory on a TJ Wrangler. When I mounted that behind, I flipped it backwards, which allowed me to have 1 input and 2 outputs, which allowed me to run 1 short drive shaft to the front axle of the rear set and a carrier bearing mounted on top of the axle that goes from the other part of the transfer case and jumps back into the back of the drivetrain. This also allowed me to run the parking brake cable and everything just as it should have been. And it also allows me to be able to switch in between 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and full 6-wheel drive, both just these 4-wheel drive and just back here 4-wheel drive. So it works out pretty well. Between here and the front of the Jeep is basically a bone stock Jeep Wrangler. Nothing is really different except for the bumper and the interior, which I'll go over here in a little bit. So at this point, of course, a normal Jeep has the wheel arch that goes in here, and I needed to fill that in order to keep the bed even with the back of the cab. So I squared this off with some plate, and I pan broke it in the center so it doesn't oil can. And then I took a piece and filled in the wheel well that would normally be here on a Jeep, since this was a standard TJ and not an LJ, and then just continued the rock sliders down on the bottom. If we move back a little bit more, this bed is an entirely custom fab. It was essentially designed off of the old Willys cabs from World War II, And all this is standard 12 gauge sheet metal worked together, and pan broke, and a little bit of tube here and there. It's a full 8-foot bed with wood slats in the back, and the rear bumper actually has an air fitting on it, so it has an air tank in it. The interior is all stock TJ components except for the center console, which I broke into 2 pieces and built out of diamond plate a long time ago, back when I was still in high school. But I moved my radio mounts around so that I can put a handle on coming out of the center console so I can shift the rear transfer case from 2 to 4-wheel drive. So that's a general overview of the build process on this. A few modifications that I want to make in the future is obviously it needs more power, without a doubt. It has the bone stock 4-liter that 20 years ago it made 181 horsepower, and it probably doesn't make that now. So it's either going to get a 4-cylinder Cummins, or it's going to get an LS, or it's going to get something like that. It may even just get the factory 4.0 with the turbo kit. We'll see. Also, if you saw my linkage running the second transfer case, I want to change that out for an air shifter, and I have some things planned out for that. Realistically, that'll be just a small project that I do whenever I get a chance. And I would really like to move that second transfer case closer to the existing transfer case, because I have some room to move in there, because that'll reduce the angles that 2 of those U-joints are at. This Jeep has about 20,000 miles on this conversion on those U-joints, so I don't have any problems, but I'd like to extend the life of them a little bit by reducing that angle a bit. Overall, it's a pretty good daily driver outside of the fuel economy and a few things like that. On the day-to-day life, it's not terrible. It turns okay. It turns better than it looks, let's put it that way. And I mean, it'll go down the highway at 55, and realistically, that's all you can ask for. This has just been a quick overview on the build process and stuff like that. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see with this, or if you'd like more content on it, let me know. Other than that, thanks for watching. If you want, give the video a like, subscribe. That'd be great. Thanks.
Look, there's the FedEx guy. Go FedEx! Where no FedEx driver has gone before.
So let's get to it. I'm gonna cut that out at the end, but let's get to it.